what's up, sixth graders? Last week we looked at how Jesus taught us about compassion. And remember, we looked at a parable. And these parables are these cool, short stories that Jesus uses to drive home a point. And Jesus is the best storyteller. He would use things that everybody in that culture would know, like sheep and farmers and seeds. And he would use a lot of times an image or a picture to create a point. And today we're actually looking at mustard seeds. So I've got a little baggie of mustard seeds here. I don't even know if you can even see them, they're so small. There's actually a couple different kinds. There's these little black ones, or there's some that are yellow, they're a little bit bigger. I don't even know which ones Jesus was talking about because they both grow in that part of the world. But the point was, Jesus can take little things and produce great big results, because these little seeds eventually grow into big trees. And so Jesus gives us this metaphor of a mustard seed, but he also gives us a true life story of a boy, probably a little bit younger than you guys, in Matthew chapter 14, about how this is true with his lunch. So check this out. As soon as Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But the crowds heard where he was headed and followed him on foot from many towns. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat and had compassion on them and healed their sick. That evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said, "That isn't necessary. You feed them." But they said, "We only have 5 loaves and 2 little fish." And we know from John telling this story that it's actually when Jesus said, "You feed them," they started looking around to see what they could find. And they found a little boy who had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. And we're not talking like big loaves of bread like you're making PB&J out of. We're talking like maybe a little bit of an oversized dinner roll. Well, Jesus says, "Bring it to me." And then he told the people to sit down on the grass. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked up to heaven, and blessed them. Then, breaking the loaves into pieces, he gave the bread to the disciples, who distributed it to the people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterwards, the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. About 5,000 men were fed that day, in addition to all the men and women and children. You see, that's our generous God. God is the generous grower. And if he could take the lunch of a little boy and turn it into the feast for thousands, imagine what he can do with the little that we give him. We're going to actually talk about that today in our lesson.